Yo, so I'm in this section now, in the doggy door part, and I want to quickly explain how this section works. First, because I love explaining stuff. I went over this on stream a year or two ago, and maybe it helps for strat hunting or for consistency in runs. So this section is... I always view this section as three different fights. The first fight is with these two runners and this runner, and that's the first fight. Second fight is the clicker and the runners there, and then the third fight is in the very back. And I think the game even treats it as three different fights. Let me show you something. So if I kill these two, let's ignore the enemies and all. If I now stealth kill this runner, the game gives me the animation of like Joel killing it as if that was the last enemy in the fight. And as you can see, there are no enemies here. I'm still unalerted. There are no enemies. And you can think like, wait, what? How is that possible? And I can show you. So the clicker and some runners in that section spawn in when you reach this point here. You can notice it when Joel's and Bill's dialogue. I don't even know who's talking, but there's dialogue starting. You can see it here. See dialogue and the clicker spawned in. The interesting thing is the game basically treats this fight as different fights, and the game, there are a few rules. The game only spawns in enemies when you're not looking at the spawn point. Usually there are a few exceptions in this fight, but usually that's the case. And the biggest and most important thing is the game only despawns enemies when you're not looking at them. And I can show you, I'm standing on the trigger right now. You can see it. The clicker is there. Now the clicker is gone. And now I went over the trigger again and the clicker spawned at its original spawn. And I can do this and the clicker won't despawn. Even though I'm not on the trigger anymore, because the game... Oh, nice shot there. The game doesn't want to despawn enemies when they are on screen, because that would interfere with casual players. They would be like, what was that, you know? So the game only despawns enemies when not looking at them, so doing this despawns it. And the interesting thing here is, so there's the trigger, the first one, and it even despawns it after this point. If I do this, it should be these. Oh, maybe I need to go a bit further. Maybe it's closer to the runner actually. Yeah, now it's despawned. I don't know why it took so long there. And it would only spawn again now if I reach the next spawn, which is a bit behind the log. The next trigger, or if I go back here again. And you know, the thing is, these two runners are despawned as well right now. You can see it here. They spawn in here. And this is another demonstration. I'm not on the trigger anymore. You see I'm standing still. I do this. They're gone. And if I do this, they stay spawned in. So for our speedrun strat, the whole premise is we want to have as many enemies on screen as possible when we reach the final section, because that means the game cannot spawn in more enemies, since the game has a limit on how many enemies can be alive. And usually I forgot to mention, that only works when being unalerted. As soon as we're alerted, enemies won't despawn anymore. And that's the interesting thing. Because I don't even know what happens here if I do this. What happens if I do this now? Yeah, they're in an alerted state. I should have expected that. So usually in a run we're alerted, and these enemies are all here. And now they are despawned. I mean, the clicker and the runner are despawned. I can do whatever I want now. There's... Okay, I should not have done that. I went over the trigger. Hold on. Okay, 1 second. Because the next part is also interesting. I'm surprised it spawned in here. I didn't know that there's another trigger. Because actually the trigger should be right here. And here you can see that runner spawned in. And that clicker is gone. What you can do here is you can actually see the clicker spawning in. Right there. And if I take one step back and do this, it despawns the clicker. And right now I'm in between triggers. There's one trigger, I don't know, here. And one trigger here. And you can see I just got the dialogue for from Ellie for finishing the fight. I don't even know if there are enemies now. There should be still... I mean, there shouldn't be enemies, but Bill and Ellie seem to be in combat mode, so I thought there were enemies. But yeah, as you can see, I got the dialogue for finishing the fight. And right now, if I would just go here, we would have all 3 enemies spawned in here, because there are no enemies behind me, so the game can just spawn in the normal enemies, which is 2 runners and the clicker here, I guess. Or not. No, yeah, I can hear him. It's probably just in the back or so. And yeah, long story short, they will get despawned again if I don't look at them and go over the trigger again, and then the clicker is here again. I mean, that one. So in our with our strat here, it is actually really funny. You can go here, do this, no clicker. And it always spawns back at the original point. So if I would just wait here for a minute and then the clicker is back there or so, I can just do this. And then it's back at the normal point. And yeah, for our strat, since we're moving this way here, like jumping over the log and go here, okay, depending on what strat you use. In general, we want to be alerted and not have the enemies despawn behind us, because if there are enough enemies alive behind us and we're alerted, that means they will not despawn, and therefore the game doesn't spawn the enemies in the final section. I don't know all the details. I don't know if it's maybe because Bill and Ellie fight them so they don't get despawned even though we're far away. Or I don't know if Bill and Ellie kill enemies and therefore the game spawns in an extra enemy. I want to show you one thing. When I'm almost talking 10 minutes, sorry for that. I was just doing this to prepare for this video. Look what happened here. Remember when I think I got it once, like when I think I got it twice, like 5 years ago and 10 years ago. Look what happened here. Look at Ellie. Did you see that? I moved over the trigger. The game wanted to spawn or despawn enemies, and Ellie just fell through the floor. So I guess if you get a black screen here, which I got then, obviously. Took very long though. That's the reason for it.